Sky This Month with your host, Dave McDonald.
Welcome to The Sky This Month. I'm your host, Dave McDonald, and this is December into January 2023. Can you believe it's 2023? Of course you can. It's coming right up. So you can see behind me is Stonehenge, and what is significant about Stonehenge this time of year? The winter solstice. The sun is shining right through those stones towards the heel stone, and we're going to talk a little bit about the winter solstice. We've got 6 planets that you can see towards the end of December, beginning of January. 6 planets that you can see. We have the Artemis mission. We'll chat a little bit about that. And we have a meteor shower during December. But first, I want to go back to, you remember last month, Tyler and Reese talked about the Belmont High School Astronomy Club's entrance into the International Astronomical Union's Name the Exo-Planet contest. And we entered. And we had an essay about the naming. We had an essay about our public presentation at the McCall-Shepherd Discovery Center. We had video clips and photos, but the capstone or the summary of the project that was submitted was a 3-minute video. And I want you to see that 3-minute video right now.
Hi, my name is David Petrell. I'm a general astronomy enthusiast.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Jordan. I'm a research scientist at the University of New Hampshire, and I'm the designated astronomer.
Hi, my name's Dave McDonald, and I'm the advisor of the Belmont High School Astronomy Club, and we're entering the contest for Name the Exoplanet 2022. Here are some of our club members to tell you about our entry.
Hi, I'm Tyler with the Belmont High School Astronomy Club, and this is our submission for Name Exoplanets 2022. Here's some of the people in our club, and we have been working tirelessly for a few months working on this project for you guys.
Our star is HIP 65426, but hopefully not for long. It's a blue main sequence star, 2.3 times the size of our sun, forming only around 14 billion years ago, which is relatively young for a star. There are many mysteries about this star, though. It rotates 150 times faster than our star, yet the planet is 92 AU away from the star. And there is also no dusk disk, a disk of dusk that is part of how planets form, present in young systems. Although many theories are present, there is no confirmation on why many of these are present.
Our planet, HIP 65426b, is a super Jupiter, and it's 12 times the size of our Jupiter. We believe the star consumed a secondary planet, and that pushed B away.
Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox belong to a folktale that is about 100 years old, which is a long time for us, but it's still a pretty young story, just like how our star-planet duo is pretty young. Babe is the larger and more blue character, and thus it's quite fitting to name the star after Babe. In addition to both pairs being pretty young still, they are both very large. They're both gigantic, which is very fitting. It is said that Babe and Bunyan are responsible for the creation of many of America's most well-known landmarks, like the Grand Canyon and the Great Lakes. HIP 65426 has its own kind of landmark. It was the first exoplanet and star to be photographed by the James Webb Space Telescope.
On Friday, November 4th, we presented our names to a room full of 100 or so people at the McCall-Shepherd Discovery Center. We worked with our advisor, Mr. McDonald, and guests David Petrell and Dr. Andrew Jordan. The club was pretty nervous for this as it was our first real presentation in public, but we saw it through and got it done. We took pictures and videos of the event, and as you can see, it went pretty well. Our community was asking questions, rooting for us, etc. They are just as passionate as we are about this. They were fully supportive of our naming scheme and the way we presented it. So not only would you be awarding us with the win, but you would also be awarding a community of people who stand behind us and have our backs.
That was the exoplanet HIP 65426b. We are planning on naming the planet Bunyan, named after a friendly American giant. We named the star HIP 65426 Babe, after his big blue ox. And we even had a flag made for our system.
We thank you kindly for your time, and we hope you like our name and ultimately choose us for the winner of the USA.
Pretty cool. I was so proud of the guys and the girls in the club. Thanks to David Petrell, who's our astronomy enthusiast, who did a lot of the legwork for our project. Thanks to Dr. Andrew Jordan, research scientist at UNH, for being our resident and designated astronomer. And the guys and the girls in the club did a phenomenal job writing scripts, talking their scripts, as you saw. And Rachel did a fantastic job editing it all together with subtitles that I didn't even ask for. So hope that you enjoyed that. And as far as I understand, the winner will be announced, or the winners will be announced in March 2023. And there is only one winner per country. And we're in it for the USA, and hopefully we'll come away with the nod and the win for the United States, with the big blue star Babe and the Exo-Planet Bunyan. Well, we have a meteor shower, we have a solstice and a planetary conjunction coming up. And so let's start by talking about the Geminid meteor shower. So the Geminid meteor shower is coming up December 14th to 15th. The best time now is going to be to check it out before midnight. Typically, you want to go out around 2 o'clock a.m. when the radiant is nice and high in the sky, but we have a waning gibbous moon on our hands. So before midnight, the sky is going to be a little darker, which may afford you more meteors to see the night of the 14th and 15th. But don't despair if you're not able to get out, or if it's cloudy then, because the meteor shower does officially continue to December 24th. Each night probably a few less meteors coming your way, but that could also be an advantage because the moon will be rising a little later and later each night, so it could balance out in your favor. The Geminid meteor shower is an amazing meteor shower from the standpoint it rivals the Perseids in terms of the number of meteors that you can typically see during an hour. The reason it's not so popular is it's cold out in December. But dress for it. Get the lawn chair out. Sleeping bag is recommended. You know, long johns, a nice sweatshirt, a nice overcoat, winter coat, snorkel jacket with hood, maybe some heated gloves. Don't forget the hot chocolate and the donuts, and make yourself so that you can enjoy looking up for an hour or two, and maybe go in, get warmed up, and come out for another hour or two. Get your neighbors to turn their lights off. Be sure your porch lights are off, and enjoy the show. It should be a really good one. And again, you got up till December 24th, but the closer you are to the 14th or 15th, the better. But as I said, as time goes on, the moon rises later, so you win on that end. So now, one of the amazing different things about this meteor shower is it's actually caused by an asteroid. An asteroid 3200, or 3200 if you will, Phaethon. And what you're looking at right there is a radar image that was taken back December 17th, 2017. And that's an image of this asteroid on its closest approach. It's not going to get that close again for quite some time, to the end of the 2000s. And it was only discovered recently. Now, the meteor shower we knew about, but what was the cause of it was just discovered 1983. And so this is kind of weird because most typically, meteor showers are caused by Earth going through the dust and debris trail of a comet. And so, but we have learned that sometimes comets can become more like asteroids, in this case when they give up all their volatile fluids and such. So it becomes more the rocky mass without the tails. And sometimes asteroids can develop a nucleus and start to give off a tail. So it can be a two-way street, and they can become one and then the other. Typically, again, meteor showers are when Earth goes through the tail debris left from a comet. But in this case, it's an asteroid, which is very, very cool. So the Geminid meteor shower, you don't want to miss it. The radiant is right near the star Castor. I'll be showing you later on, towards the end of the show, again, where to find the radiant. The radiant is the point where all the meteors seem to be emanating from. So if you see a meteor in the sky and you trace its trail backwards, and it seems to come from the constellation Gemini, it's likely a genuine Geminid. But if you see a meteor streak across the sky and you trace it backwards and it ends up someplace else in the sky, then it is in all likelihood a sporadic. So that is the Geminid meteor shower. And this next image shows an image that was taken by a guy in Texas. This is Craig Bacciani, if I said his name right, so I want to give him credit. Craig Bacciani. This is last December 14th, 2021, down in Marathon, Texas. Now that's what you're looking at, all those meteors. Notice they all seem to be coming from the same direction, which would be from the constellation Gemini if you trace them backwards. But this is not like all happening like at once. This isn't like, click the shutter for a second and all that was going on. This is a time lapse over a good number of minutes, I think about 40 minutes. And we see all these meteor streaks happening over a period of time. But just to point out that the Geminid meteor shower can definitely be a very active one. And there in this photo, you can see the Milky Way coming down through the center of the photo, which is very cool. The winter solstice, it happens December 21st, 4:47 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And when you see this happen, it's one of those moments when the sun is reaching its stop. That's what solstice means. Solstice means sun stop. And so it's bouncing off the Tropic of Capricorn, which is down, that's that dotted line on your globe that's 23.5 degrees south of the equator. And so at that moment, at 4:47 Eastern Standard Time on December 21st, the sun is going to just hit that spot, the Tropic of Capricorn, stopping momentarily and then making its way back. So you can see in the diagram over on the right that the sun's rays are hitting Earth and Earth's poles are tilted away. The North Pole is tilted away from the sun. The southern pole is tilted towards the sun. And that is the moment when the area around the Arctic Circle is just totally gone. Let's look at the next slide. It's just the same image, just a little bit closer. And you see the sun's rays hitting, and the Antarctic Circle is going to be totally lit up. But the Arctic Circle, right there, you can see the degree marks. Generally, we say 23.5 degrees. It's like 23.44. And the Arctic Circle on this day will be in total darkness. So if we look at the next slide, we kind of see that area. The Arctic Circle is that dotted red circle. And for that moment, it's entirely in darkness. For 24 hours, the sun is not seen. But then as the next day comes on, the sun creeps northward at about 1/4 of a latitude degree each day. So, very cool. We have one of the neat things about this month in the end of December is we have a planetary conjunction. A conjunction is when two objects in the sky are really close to each other. They don't have to be on top of each other, but they are within around 4 degrees of each other. So giving credit to earthsky.org, it's a great site to go to, earthsky.org. You see we have Saturn is up above the horizon, but just a little bit after sunset, we're talking maybe 45 minutes after sunset, 30 to 45 minutes after sunset. The sky is still light. You need a low western or southwestern horizon because these objects are going to be very close to the horizon. And you'll see Venus blazing, but again, the sky is light, so it's not like blazing in a dark sky, and the planet Mercury hanging out. So this is on the 28th, December 28th, and then Venus is working its way up each day, and Mercury is working its way downward. So the 29th will also be a nice view. Venus will be a little higher, Mercury will be a lower, and Mercury is working its way into the glare of the sun. Venus is working its way out of the glare of the sun, so it will become more and more prominent as the days and weeks go on. So this is the end of December, December 28th and December 29th. And I'll show you again later on at the end of the show another view of when and how to see Mercury and Venus in that conjunction. Because remember, we got 6 planets that you can see that we're going to talk about. Did you catch the Artemis mission? Well, the Artemis mission was a great success. This was Artemis 1, blasted off, launched on November 16th, and then splashed down not very long ago on December 11th, 2022. And so you can see the amazing results, the very successful results of that Artemis capsule coming back. So as we look at the next slide, it's really complex. So, you can freeze this, you can pause it, you can look it up online as I did from NASA and such, but you can see it's kind of a complex route that the spacecraft took, starting off with the green numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see around Earth, comes around, and it goes around in retrograde, which is kind of opposite of normal, around the moon. And then can you see that it went far away from the moon, about 44,000 miles on the far side of the moon, away from Earth. And that's the furthest that any spacecraft intended for human flight has ever been. And then it came around the moon once again, made its way back to Earth, and splashed down on at 12:40 December 11th, and was a great recovery and such. And so they're hoping to have learned, and depending upon when you're watching this show, you can find out when they have learned what about the spacecraft and what it experienced, because the plan is to go ahead and put human beings in it. So now I want you to watch this clip. Maybe you saw it live, but this is just a couple of minutes of the recovery. And I'm going to be talking while you're watching this. So the recovery mission is in progress. As you can see, the parachutes are open, fully deployed, 3 strong parachutes. And this Artemis 1 mission is testing the capsule all together to see if it's going to withstand all the forces from the liftoff, the launch, the journey to the moon, around the moon, back to Earth, and the splashdown. And at the moment, everything looks good. They're preparing for a human flight with 4 people. So when you look at that Orion capsule, it looks like the Apollo capsule, but it's about 30% larger. They're going to have 4 people on board. The Apollo carried 3 people, and this Orion capsule is designed for 4 human beings, and they will be launched. The plan at the moment is May 2024. So we've got just about almost a year and a half to wait for that to happen. But they're trying to be very careful, because the next mission after that will be to land on the moon and to have 4 people on the moon, at least one of which I should say, will be a woman. So we'll have the first woman to walk on the moon. So that's all very, very cool. So that's looking forward to the Artemis 2, May 2024, and Artemis 3. Not sure of the date yet, but subsequently, we hope to be landing on the moon again and getting ready to exploit all the minerals that are on the moon, to have a way station to learn about what we need to know to go to Mars. Eventually, the goal is to get to Mars, and to be there and come back safely is the plan. But we have a lot to learn about extended stays and extended space flight and oxygen, water, food, fuel, a lot of things that we have to learn how we're going to do and take care of those things and create those things or make those things, manufacture those things in order to get to and back from Mars. But I'll show you where Mars is in the sky again towards the end of the show, because one of the neat things that always amazes me when I look at the show is when I look at Mars is that we have stuff up there. We have the Perseverance rover up there. We have a Curiosity rover up there. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is in orbit around Mars, keeping an eye on those things, helping with radio transmissions and such. So we really have just an awesome situation going on Mars, and someday people will be on Mars. All right, so those are the main points about those missions and the stars and the solstice. Let me show you some constellations. We're going to talk about the winter hexagon after I show you once again where you can see this planetary conjunction and where you can find 6 planets to look at, which will be at the end of December. All righty, so let's take a moment to get the set ready and we'll take a look at the night sky. Well, I've got the sky set up for the end of December. This is particularly December 28th at 5 o'clock. And December 28th and 29th, those are great opportunities to see the elusive planet Mercury and Venus together in what we call a conjunction. Notice it's 5 o'clock, December 28th, and you can see how close they are to the horizon. They're right on the horizon. So a little bit earlier, 4:45 or so, they'll be a little bit higher, but the sky will be a little bit lighter as well. Binoculars could be a help here, but one thing that's definitely necessary is for you to have a low horizon towards the southwest. So it's worth a drive if you need to drive someplace to get away from hills and trees and barns and stuff like that, so you have a really low southwestern horizon to be able to see this, because you don't get to see this very often. It's hard enough to find the planet Mercury at all, now hanging out with the planet Venus. So this is 5 o'clock on December 28th, very close to the horizon. But note, while you're there, out looking, enjoy the planet Saturn. You have a small telescope, you can see its rings. The moon is gracing our skies, which is always nice. And the moon is hanging out just a little bit below the planet Jupiter. Now, as time goes on and the sky gets darker, well, we're going to lose Mercury and Venus. They're going to be setting, but Saturn and Jupiter will come out to be even more brilliant. So there's 4 planets. Remember I told you we could see 6? So towards the end, in another 4 minutes or so, I will tell you about the other 2. But obviously here, we've got Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, and Venus. That's 4 planets that you can see. I'll share the other 2 with you in just a little bit. I want to talk now about the winter hexagon. It's winter time, the end of December, getting into January, and January is like the lightest, the brightest winter skies, as you can see. So, as you can see, next on our show, we've got Orion. Who doesn't love Orion? This is 10 o'clock at night. because I wanted this to be high enough in the sky. And this is the same date. This is still December 28th, 10 o'clock at night. So we're another 5 hours later after the Mercury and Venus show, looking at Orion, looking south. Now earlier in the evening, 9 o'clock, same thing, but it's a little more towards the east. So we have Orion the Hunter. The upper left star is Betelgeuse. It's a red giant, definitely reddish in color. That's going to be the center of our hexagon. Then we have Rigel. We're going to start with Rigel. The bottom right is a hot, giant blue star, a blue giant, maybe like Babe. That is where we're going to start. And then we make our way up to Aldebaran, which is the eye of the bull. Aldebaran is an orange, reddish star. That's in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. Then we move up to overhead. In a near overhead position is yellow Capella. Much like our star, the sun, it's a class G star, yellow. Then now we're going to start to make our way around the other side of our hexagon, and we get to Castor and Pollux. We're only going to pick one of them. I'll pick Castor because it begins with a C, like Capella begins with a C. So we'll choose Castor as our marking point for the hexagon. And that's in the constellation of Gemini, the twins. Those are the twins, Castor and Pollux, the twins. We make our way down to Procyon as we come down the other side of the hexagon. Procyon is the brightest star in the constellation of Canis Minor, a little dog. Then down to Sirius. Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky in either hemisphere. And Sirius is sometimes known as the dog star. It's the brightest star in the constellation of Canis Major, the big dog. And then back to Rigel, where we have where we began. So, next slide, we can look at the constellations again that the hexagon is in. Rigel, bottom right of Orion. Betelgeuse is the center of our hexagon, represents the armpit of the hunter. That's what Betelgeuse means. Aldebaran, the eye of the bull, orange-red eye of the bull, Taurus. Capella, the brightest star in Auriga, the charioteer. Castor and Pollux are the twin stars for Gemini, the twins. Procyon in the little dog. There's a unicorn in the way. Yeah, Monoceros, there is a unicorn in the sky, but not part of our hexagon. And then down to Sirius. Next, put it all together, and this is your winter hexagon. Rigel, Aldebaran, Capella, Pollux, Procyon, Sirius. Pretty cool. Next slide, this is where we get the other two planets. Hanging out by Aldebaran, again, Mars is there, making what I call the red trio. Mars, Aldebaran, and Betelgeuse. Mars being the brighter of the three. So that's planet number 5. Planet number 6 that you can see, Earth. Is Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and Mercury. 6 planets you can see the end of December. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the show. My name's Dave McDonald for The Sky This Month.